All right, let's jump right into this explainer. If you've stepped foot in a school recently, you already know the landscape has changed pretty much overnight. We are standing right at the edge of this massive technological shift with generative AI, and honestly, it can feel incredibly overwhelming. But don't worry, that is exactly why we're here today. We're going to break down exactly what artificial intelligence is, what it can actually do for you and your students, and just as importantly, what its critical limitations are. So, here is our roadmap for today. 1. The new AI reality. 2. Your digital co-teacher. 3. Critical AI limitations. 4. The privacy frontier. And 5. Humans in the loop. Section 1. The new AI reality and understanding the shift. 50%. I mean, just think about that number. By 2025, over half of all students and teachers were already using AI for school tasks. This completely proves that AI is no longer just some passing fad or a weird experiment. It's become essential. This integration is happening whether we're ready for it or not, right? So understanding how to harness it and how to protect our classrooms is literally the most pressing task for modern educators. You know, it's so easy to imagine AI as this sci-fi sentient thinking brain, but it's actually not. AI is simply a predictive system. I want you to think of it like an electric bike rather than a robot vacuum. A robot vacuum replaces human effort entirely, right? You turn it on, you walk away, and it cleans the floor. But an electric bike, it multiplies your human effort. You still have to steer, you still have to pedal, and you absolutely still have to decide where you're going. Generative AI is basically an electric bike for your classroom. It amplifies what you can do, but it requires you to stay completely in the driver's seat. Moving on to Section 2, your digital co-teacher and the promise of AI. When we look at exactly how AI tackles the heavy lifting, the benefits are genuinely incredible. For personalization, AI acts kind of like that one-on-one tutor we all wish we had enough time to be, tailoring everything to a student's specific pace. But accessibility, that is where it gets truly magical. Imagine being able to instantly translate school announcements for your English language learner families in real time. Or taking a highly complex high school level science article and having AI instantly rewrite it to a second grade reading level for a struggling reader. Then you have the efficiency piece. We're talking about drafting lesson plans and rubrics up to 30% faster without sacrificing any quality. And finally, by bringing this into the classroom now, we're simulating the modern workplace and building the exact digital literacy skills our students will absolutely need out there in the real world. Now, if you work in special education, this might just be the most important number you hear today, 90%. AI can reduce the time spent drafting individualized education programs, or IEPs, by up to 90%. Just pause and think about what you could do with that recovered time. That's hours upon hours given back to you to actually spend working face-to-face with your students, rather than drowning in a sea of documentation. All right, Section 3, critical AI limitations and the perils of AI. We've got to talk about the dark side. So you need the exact vocabulary for when AI hallucinates facts and just completely makes things up. In the field, we call these confabulations. Remember earlier when we said AI is a predictive system? Well, it doesn't actually know facts the way a human being does. It just calculates the next most likely word in a sequence based on all the data it was trained on. Because of how it works, it can completely fabricate historical events, invent scientific studies out of thin air, or create fake academic citations. And the wildest part, it will present these lies to you and your students with absolute, unwavering confidence. So, rule of thumb, you can never, ever assume AI is guaranteeing accuracy. There is also a massive equity concern here when it comes to linguistic bias. Because AI models are trained on vast swaths of the internet, leading AI detectors actually falsely flag essays written by non-native English speakers as AI-generated over 60% of the time. That is a staggering error rate. Relying blindly on an AI tool to catch cheating can inadvertently end up punishing students based purely on their linguistic background. And for the students themselves, we really have to be aware of what's called the intellectual crutch. A polished, perfectly formatted essay spit out by an AI does not prove that a student has mastered the material. In fact, if students use AI to do the deep thinking for them, they completely bypass what educators call the productive struggle. You know, that necessary friction in the brain where actual sticky learning occurs. The result? Sure, they might finish their homework successfully in the moment, but they're going to end up performing significantly worse on independent exams because they leaned entirely on the crutch. Furthermore, there are some absolutely crucial things AI will simply never be able to replicate. It cannot read the room. It has zero empathy to resolve a conflict bubbling up between two students in the back row. It doesn't notice when a class is glazing over and desperately needs a brain break. And it certainly cannot provide the real mentorship that defines great teaching. Honestly, this should reassure us all. Human judgment in the classroom is completely 100% irreplaceable. Section 4. The Privacy Frontier and Protecting Student Data. Please never forget that standard student data privacy laws, like FERPA and COPPA, apply to AI just as strictly as they do to any other piece of technology in your school building. The biggest risk right now actually comes from free consumer AI tools. See, a lot of these free platforms retain every single thing you type into them, so they can train their future models. This means entering private student info, like their full names, their grades, or sensitive health and behavioral details, can actually lead to massive unauthorized data leaks. So this brings us to the absolute golden rule for anonymization. Every single educator and student must memorize this. Never put anything into an AI tool that you wouldn't want appearing in someone else's search results, period. If you're using AI to draft an email to a parent about a behavioral issue, you absolutely must anonymize it. Use student A instead of their real name. We have to protect that data fiercely. And finally, Section 5. Humans in the loop and structuring effective policy. So how do we actually manage all of this? Well, here are the 5 foundational pillars every district needs to shift the focus from simply banning AI to managing it safely with a humans-in-the-loop approach. First up, appropriate use. We need super clear definitions of when AI supports learning, like brainstorming an essay topic, versus when it actively interferes, like generating the final answer. Second, disclosure. Students need to get into the habit of clearly acknowledging if and how they used AI in their assignments. Third, responsibility. No matter what tools were used along the way, the student remains totally responsible for being able to independently explain and defend their own work. Fourth is data security. Districts have to ensure any paid AI vendors have actually signed data privacy agreements that protect student data. And lastly, equity. We need to actively ensure these tools are used to help close achievement gaps rather than widening them just because some students happen to lack access or training at home. Ultimately, by truly understanding both its profound promise and its very real pitfalls, we can ensure this technology serves student learning, all while you remain right where you belong, at the very center of education. AI is just the electric bike. You're the one pedaling and steering your students towards success. I want to leave you with this final, vital question to ponder as you step back into your classrooms. How will you keep the human connection at the center of your AI-integrated classroom? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating new frontier with me in this explainer, and I really hope this empowers you to confidently shape the future of learning.